Do you know that one of the biggest RPA showstoppers in a company is the lack of a clear business case, says an FHS study. Also, Everest Group says that the way to gain executive buy-in for RPA is through developing a solid business case. So let's have a closer look at that. Hi guys, Gabi from UiPath Hacks here. This video is following up on an older one, RPA, the journey from an initial idea to implementation, and is expanding the business case. And I'd like to answer a few questions like, does every RPA use case need a business case? Or what do we need to take into consideration when we calculate the TCO for a use case? How much does a free RPA software really reduce the TCO? And what are the business benefits of RPA? And last but not least, what are the most important RPA drivers for you? I'll also cover an online course on writing an RPA business case. I'm talking about this one on Coursera. It is a 5 hours course and I've audited it only. It means it was for free. The alternative is to pay 43 euros, in Germany at least, and get also a diploma. But more about the course later. For now, let us start with the first question. I'm tempted to give a very consulting answer here. It depends. I guess it depends on many parameters, like where do you find yourself and the company you are working for in the RPA journey. Are you at the very beginning and are just looking for some quick use cases to get your hands dirty? Or are you already way ahead on the journey and already have a huge backlog of use cases and must be rather picky on how they are getting prioritized and how you are spending your resources? Also, what is the feasibility of the use case? If it is something that could be done in a very short time period, maybe a real business case is not needed. But if you expect it to take a long time to develop, a solid business case is a must. So unless you are just testing the waters or are still in a training period, creating a business case would be at least recommended, if not mandatory, to ensure success of the RPA initiative. If that fails to happen, the risk is to spend much of your time with automations that have low impact and business benefit, and ultimately the whole RPA initiative could be labeled by senior management as a fad and lose support. TCO stands for total cost of ownership. In other words, what does it cost the company to automate a particular process and use that specific process with RPA? The TCO has two cost components, the CapEx, or initial investment, and here we have the development costs, and the OpEx one, where we have the ongoing costs like license costs, hardware, and infrastructure costs. For example, virtual machines, as well as support costs for any bug fixing, maintenance, or small change requests. Development could take anywhere from a few weeks to a few months, depending on the complexity of the process being automated. And licensing could differ based on the RPA provider and on the automation type, be it attended or unattended. Also, if the transactional type is very high, there might be the need of several bots running the process in parallel. So be ready to factor in multiple licenses for some of the big automations. Also, it could be that bots with AI or ML capabilities would be more expensive than the ones without those services. The infrastructure cost is pretty self-explanatory, but one category often overlooked or much underestimated is the support cost. Automation needs to be monitored and adjusted when involved applications are upgraded or when bugs are found and change requests are raised. Some estimates are that an automated live process could take up to 10% of the time of an RPA developer in average, but I've spoken with counterparts from different companies here in Germany, and they have realized that support takes up to 20% or more of the development time. Of course, this figure could be going a bit down as the experience of the developers improves and they make less mistakes or produce more robust code, but nevertheless, it is an important cost component to take into account. Now it's a bit easier to answer this question after just having talked about TCO. It means basically taking the licensing component out of the picture, but we still have the development, cost, infrastructure, and maintenance and support. So while it could result in a slightly lower TCO, it does not eliminate most of the cost. I would split the benefits into two main categories: cost-related and non-cost-related. The cost-related ones could be FTE reduction, when the RPA bots are actually replacing the work done by employees. Cost avoiders, for example, reducing overtime. Cost absorbers, when a company is growing and is able to do so with the same number of employees because of RPA doing part of the work, for example, or when RPA is performing some processes that should be normally done by some additional FTEs, but the budget for that simply hasn't been there. So the process is now properly done with the same number of FTEs, but with the help of RPA. And in this sense, it absorbs the cost of the additional FTEs which should have been hired to perform that process properly. And also generating revenue. You can only reduce costs so much, but what about increasing your revenue? RPA could offer a company the option to create new services that weren't feasible just with manual work, or increase sales or productivity on existing services. With the cost-related benefits, it is especially important to stay realistic in your estimation. Otherwise, the management could ask for tracking of those benefits and hold you accountable for achieving those. So it could be risky here. The non-cost-related benefits, or soft benefits, can be quite diverse. We can quote better data quality. This could be one benefit. Bots don't make mistakes like humans do. Improving timelines, because bots are generally faster and more predictable than humans, so more ambitious timelines could be achieved. Improved governance. Bots leave a clear and transparent log of their activities, which makes them especially well suited for heavily regulated environments. And making a company a more attractive employer. Introducing a segregation of duties, in the sense that bots will be doing the repetitive, tedious work and humans will be doing the more creative work. And this could boost the morale of employees and attract new talent that would thrive in such a work environment. What is the most important RPA driver for you? This is an interesting discussion which doesn't take place too often. Each company and culture is different, therefore different benefits can outweigh others in different contexts. A study that I could not find anymore now online was claiming that in Sweden, for example, improving the employees' work experience is outweighing oftentimes the cost reduction benefit. In other countries, cost benefits may take precedence. In highly creative, blue ocean businesses, soft benefits might outweigh the cost ones, while in Red Sea businesses that are trading commodities, for example, cost excellence will always be the main driver. So identify your main RPA driver in your company and make sure that the business case is touching those areas. Okay, now I'd like to just give you a brief overview of the Coursera course Building an RPA Business Case. This course is mainly focused on accounting. It's done together with the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. And when I first found it, I thought it would be about building a business case for an automation idea. But it is actually about building a business case for the adoption of RPA in a company, not on building a business case for one particular use case, although some of the principles extend to that as well. So the course is split into 2 weeks, approximately 2.5 hours each. The first week contains a general RPA presentation, nothing really valuable or new if you already have a pretty good understanding of what RPA is capable of and what would be the very, very high level steps of an RPA implementation. If you have already basic knowledge of RPA, you can just skip this week. Don't waste your time. The second week is about building a business case for using RPA in a company. They split it in 4 steps: assessing the requirements of a company, developing a proof of value to show that RPA is working, building a plan for rolling out RPA in a company, and then testing, validating, and evaluating the business case for RPA. I would just like to highlight a few ideas that I found to be interesting. In establishing a proof of value, it's important to establish the metrics first. It is not all about the dollar value. Consider also the value proposition to employees, compliance benefits, or removal of risk. Defining the success metrics for the automation and assessing the impact is also important in order to be able to properly evaluate the success at the end of the proof of value. One interesting point is that TCO seems to have dropped a bit in importance as hardware costs sunk as well, and the focus becomes more around the technical concerns and usability rather than just on costs as it used to be in the last years. And one last idea I extracted from the training is around approaching big automation. If you are considering a big and expensive use case for automation, try a pilot first. If it is working, expand from there. Pretty much the same as RPA is generally adopted in most companies. So these are the main points I would cover in an RPA business case. I hope some of the points were novel ideas and would give you some food for thought. And I would love to hear from you what are your main drivers for RPA in your companies and cultures. If you found value in this video and would like to support the channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. See you next time and have a great day.
Hey guys, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so you won't miss out on future content. Thanks!